Hello, everybody. It is Tom Chenault, and it is the one and only Dr. Louis Arriaza today, and it is going to be one of the greatest shows that you've ever seen in your life. We've got a little housekeeping to go to start here because it is going to be a great show. Garrett McGraw has been through absolutely the roughest month of his life. His brother got sick about 6 weeks ago out of the sky blue, passed away yesterday of a real aggressive form of cancer, a famous guy in Ireland, all over the world in the film business, and just makes me sick. Garrett is over there with his wife and Sylvia and the kids, and his 95-year-old parents are all flying over, and it's just a mess. So say a prayer for him. That is just a tough thing. And those of you anywhere in the world worrying about all this stuff going on with these countries fighting with each other, just pray for those people and pray for their souls, but the people underneath it, the human beings in those countries are the ones that we can affect with love everywhere. Do that, please. And let's get this show on the road. Dr. Louis Arriaza is the man. I've known him for a long time. I talk to him daily. I said in the announcements, he's like one of the best network marketers I've ever known in my life. He is all discipline. He is all consistency. He is all fundamentals. He is all systems. And I was on the board of directors of the ANMP today, and we were talking about this year's speakers. And we were very proud of the fact that we don't have any speakers speaking that are riding on ribbons they earned in the fourth grade. Every one of these people are leaders that are leading, that have led, but they're leading and showing and teaching people how to do it in 2025, going back to basics instead of thinking you can become a millionaire, signing people up with a click and never seeing them again. So it is my honor to introduce the husband of Avelia, the father of Elijah, Isaiah, and Fabian, an unbelievable son, an unbelievable friend, man of God, Dr. Louis Arriaza. How are you, buddy?
And the crowd goes wild.
Wait a minute. I'm mad at you.
Okay. Okay. Why?
Because I've gotten 2 pitches from Isaiah in a row, 1 text and 1 email asking for money. And wait a minute. I'm okay. I'm going to send, after he calls me on the phone and says, Tom, how's Denise? How's Dominic? How's Courtney?
He hasn't called you. He was supposed to call you.
He has got, I am not sending him. He can send me 10,000 newsletters.
He's going to call you.
Apologies. There's 2 things I want. One is a phone call, and the second is a thank you note.
I'm making notes right now.
So here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to donate money.
Tom.
I'm going to donate money, and I'm going to double the gift with a handwritten thank you note.
Wow. Okay.
Wait a minute, because, well, you don't know. I could be only given $1, but at the end of the day, I'm doing that. I got 60 different requests for graduation presents, and I have 5 thank you notes so far out of 60. And every one of those kids that send me a handwritten thank you note, they don't know this. I'm sending them. I'm doubling the contribution because it's the most important thing, don't you think?
100%.
Isn't that cool?
It's very cool. It's very cool, and it's very generous. And I didn't know about Garrett. I don't know if Garrett even remembers me, but one of the first times that you had me speak at the ANMP, he was in the back, and he was just he's so nice to me, and he didn't know me at all, and he was just so nice and very kind. And it's very sad to hear about his brother. So of course, my prayers and condolences go out to Garrett and his wife and their entire family.
And here's what Garrett thinks about you. Tom, can you get Dr. Louis Arriaza to speak at the ANMP event in August? He exemplifies what we stand for, what we're all about, which is integrity, consistency, and action. That's what Garrett thinks about you. So I think he remembers you, buddy. And congratulations on being a featured speaker at the ANMP.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And thank you. I know I always joke with you about this platform that you have, but this is such a powerful platform. And I love sharing the story because, yes, Tom is my mentor, and he's mentored me for going on 14 years now. And, sometimes when we have something and we have it all the time, we don't sometimes know all the value of it. and we were at an Eric Ray event about 6-7 years ago. And I was sitting up top with my team, and I get a text from Tom or a call from Tom and says, "Hey, come on down. I got seats for you and your 3 boys and your wife." So we make our way down, and security stops us on the floor. And then Tom comes and brings us in, and now we have Eric Ray maybe 30 yards away. And I know these are $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 seats, but this is just the level of generosity that Tom has. And so he leaves, give him a big hug, and he kisses the kids and my wife, and he leaves. And this guy behind me, who I don't know who he was, and he taps me. He's like, "Hey," he says, "Do you know him?" And I promise you, I'm like, "Do I know who?" He says, "The guy that just gave you a hug." I said, "Tom?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Do I know him?" He said, "Yeah." And I know that we're not supposed to talk about companies. I'm like, "Well, he's been my mentor for like 5-6 years. This was 6 years ago, for like 5-6 years now." And it was like I said, you were the Beatles. Seriously, it was like Elvis Presley just left. And that is when, I read this book a long time ago called A Life Without Fear by Fred Barge. And he talks about when the worm turns. And that's when the worm turned in my mind. I said, I know you were huge, and I know you're big in our company, but you're just big in the industry, and you have impacted so many people. So it is my honor and it is my privilege to be here with you right now. And I said before we started taping that you are one of the best looking men that I have ever seen, and your hair looks impeccable.
74 years old, almost got killed in a car wreck, alive and kicking. I don't care what I look like. I am so happy to be alive and to be with you today. So, Louis, first of all, this is a hard business. And one of the great stories Louis told me one time, he was driving a snazzy car, and he was at a coffee shop giving the presentation. And all of a sudden they announced from the front desk, "Anybody driving a silver Maserati, please come to the front desk." And Louis goes up to the front desk thinking they loved the car, and it was getting repossessed. And so he had to hitch a ride with the guy he was prospecting to go get his car back. And he tells that story proudly because it is hard work. It lasts a long time. It goes up, it goes down. But I'm telling you, your humility, telling that story all the time, and more stories are what make me love you with all my heart.
Well, it's as everyone, there's different levels, right? There's the amateur, the student, the professional, and the master. And mastery in network marketing is all about humility. Mastery in network marketing is directly proportional to humility. And I didn't know that when I first entered, but that is a very, very true story. And everyone knows, especially if they've been in this game for a while, often you're selling your dream while living a nightmare, right? And that's what I was doing at that time. We had lost everything. And we had just joined our company. And things were, I'd walk out of the house and things were so difficult. But you can't portray that to a prospect. You have to show up. And like you said, you can't mail it in, you got to walk it in, right? And you had to put on your gear, you put on your breastplate of faith, and put on your helmet of salvation. You had to do all these things. And yes, they repossessed my car. And the worst part about it was I chased down the guy because my youngest was a baby and the car seat was in the back seat. And I said, "Could you at least," and I yelled, "Could you at least leave the car seat?" And I don't know how he unbuckled it and he threw it out. And my car seat is tumbling and fumbling across the parking lot. And I pick it up and I look over, and there's my prospect just looking at me, just shaking his head. That was about a 50-yard walk, and it seemed so long. I had no money. I had the nerve, the audacity to ask him to give me a ride home. And but that taught me a lot. I went upstairs. I went up to my room. I got on my knees and I said, "This will never happen to me again." I didn't make a commitment. I made a covenant with God. And I said, I will never allow, because we allow things to happen to us. Things don't happen. Things don't just happen. We invite them by our thoughts and our words and just the energy we put out. And I said, I will never, ever, ever allow this to happen to me again. And less than 2 years later, we're earning more than 6 figures a month.
Yeah, and making it to the very top of the business and learning how to teach people to do it. And you never gave up. You
No,
never lost that vim and vigor. I
nope.
have watched you go through seasons, and I am telling you, your humility is absolutely evident with those three little boys that you walked into the room with, winking, blinking, and odd. I grew up with those kids. I about broke my neck on one of those stupid things that you break your neck on, those electronic things, and watched Isaiah, watched Fabian become an unbelievable human being. Just
Yes.
incredible. And here comes Isaiah, just about to enter the world of college football. And then
Yes.
Elijah, just a rock star student, great athlete, unbelievable men of God like their mom and dad. Could you be more proud and accelerated in your entire life?
No, it's I shared this on a call this morning, and to all the fathers out there, happy late Father's Day. But one of the most beautiful things that happens on Father's Day, beyond the where we go and what we eat, are cards that I receive. And I always receive a card from each son and my wife. And they share different things, and they're very heartfelt. But a thread that's amongst all three boys is they're very grateful for the time that I have invested into their life. They're very grateful for, dropping them off every day at school, picking them up every day at school, taking them to their practices, being their coach, even when I had never coached football before, being on the sideline, being on the side of the karate and the martial art tournaments. And this is what becoming a professional or a master network marketing offers us. It offers us an incredible lifestyle. It offers us an incredible opportunity to have these experiences, right? Doesn't mean that everyone's going to be a millionaire, but it means that your life, the quality of your life can be so much better. So yes, I love this. I love what we do. I know that we work a lot, but it's, often I'm driving home from presentations thinking, thank you, God, just so grateful that, we get paid to empower people. We get paid to help people connect with themselves. We get paid to bring value to people. Most importantly, we get paid to help people solve their problems. And I think that's just so incredible. The days are never the same. Every day it's a new experience. It's new people, it's new prospects, it's new problems, right? And I love them. I love them all.
What's so beautiful about it, and my wife's out of town, she's in Turkey, so I get to work I'm talking to Lewis 24/7. I'm talking to Australia in the middle of the night. I'm having the time of my life because this is what I do. This is what I do. Network marketing is what I do. Network marketing is who I am. It
Yes.
is absolutely my passion and my
Yes.
legacy. And
Yes.
I want people to get that this is truly the only game in town. It's hard, but what's not? Nobody's got the upside like we've got.
Nobody.
There's downside. You might not be successful, and most people aren't. But with hard work, sticking with a company that is going to stick with you. And I know you've been around this company for 12 years or 17 years or 900 years. How many?
14.
14. I've been with that company for 20 some million, and it's awesome. But not having to look over your shoulder at the company to see if they're going to stay in business or change their focus and totally shoot you in the foot is very, very refreshing. And also a profession that's going to serve you if you keep serving it is the most beautiful thing in the world. And I'm so lucky. I was literally homeless, a drunk in the gutter, because if I hadn't gotten lucky enough to become that and be so low that I had to look at this hard and be so low that I had to do it, like you, not wanted to, I had to. You had to. Yeah. And when that came along, you got that gift of desperation. That's when everything shifted. And you and I talk every day about trying to transfer that intensity and that desperation to teams, and you are doing it. You're not showing them shortcuts, you're showing them systems which trump everything, right?
Yeah, you said a key word, Tom. Yes, a profession. I left the profession of chiropractic, right? I spent 8-9 years, $250,000 in becoming the most professional and proficient chiropractor that I could be. And my wife and I opened 7 health centers from Fontana to East Los Angeles here in Southern California. And we did really, really well. I mean, I loved it, and I still adjust my family and I adjust friends almost every day, just because that's part of the philosophy of being healthy. But when we came across network marketing, we, as Eric Ray always says, we decided to go pro. And I said, well, I want to treat this as a profession. I don't want to sell products. I don't want to sell, I don't want to sell, bottles and pills and motions and potions and lotions. I want to treat this as a profession. And that's what sparked us creating a system, because you can only be motivated for so long. You can only be inspired for so long. But when you have a system, when the GPS gives you the directions to the address, there could be traffic, but you're going to get to the address sooner or later. The GPS tells you that. And all you have to do is follow get off when it says get off, make a right when it says make a right, make a left when it says make a right. You have certainty. And it's one of the 6 human basic needs, is the need for certainty. And without a system, people get involved. There's over 28 million people that get involved every single year in some company in network marketing. Out of those 28 million, very, 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 very few, a very small percentage actually connect to the system. So they stumble and fumble, not knowing that they can be masters, not knowing that they can be professionals, but they don't have the GPS. So I said, if I'm going to leave one profession that has given us an amazing life, I'm going to move into another profession. And that's what we've done for the last 22, 23 years, is we've treated network marketing as a profession.
There's a guy on here that just commented to what you're saying. His name is Alan Newell. He's coming up in the rotation as a guest, former president of Lone Star Steakhouses, and absolutely a beast, who I am telling you, the guy is so rock solid. And he really, really got in my face one time because he thought that I was pandering to the big money people and not really listening to the little guy. And if there's a guy, and that was untrue, and we had a long talk about that, since I work with drunks all day long, and that's my vibe and my tribe. But at the end of the day, that's what you stand for, is taking anybody with that desire that will follow a plan and a system. You will take them where they want to go if they're going to meet you at the goal, at the starting point, and fight for the goal line, right?
Absolutely. I've learned through a lot of errors and failures that it's better to give life to someone new than try to raise the dead. I have a limited amount of energy every day, and I have to really choose wisely. I have to be aware, where can I put my energy that's going to not add but multiply? So my energy goes to the people that want my energy. You show up to a wedding, and your favorite song comes on. No one needs to motivate you to get up there and dance. You're just compelled because you just love it. So I put out the energy of enthusiasm and passion. Yes, it is hard work, but everything is hard work, right? I live in Laverne, California. I have an organization in Central Valley. When I drive over the Grapevine and I'm driving through Bakersfield, that's one of the largest agricultural areas in the entire United States. Those people, picking strawberries and picking fruits, that is really, really hard. That is hard work. What we do is not that hard. What we do, we're building relationships. The hard part comes with us becoming comfortable in our own skin. That's the hard part. The hard part comes when people that we know don't get involved because they truly don't believe in us. That's the hard part. But that's all the mindset. And so that's why for the last 24 years, I have immersed myself into the study of the mind and how I can help people overcome those mental obstacles, those mental paradigms and conditionings. So and once they break free, sky's the limit. I mean, we can take a good person to be great, and we can take a great person to become extraordinary. But no, I don't dance with people that don't want to dance with me anymore, because it's just too much energy.
And so another thing is, I've had so many people, you're so successful, and I'm in your orbit and you speak Spanish pretty fluently. especially to your Spanish speaking teams. And I've had people going, he trains things differently in English. He tells all the secrets to those Spanish speaking teams. And that's why they rank advanced, which is just jealousy. But you read Dr. Caroline Lelieve, you read Wallace Waddles, you read
every
Think
day.
and Grow Rich every year. You do it, right?
Every day. Can I speak to that for a second?
Heck yeah.
So when I was in chiropractic practice, I had an assistant, a really, really nice girl. She was pretty young. Well, at the time I was 30, 31, and she was probably like 21, 22, sharp young lady. And I was what you call a high volume practitioner. So I would adjust between 170 to 180 patients a day, 3 to 4 days a week. And so that's what she saw. That's all she saw. And she was my assistant for about 3 years. So when I moved from chiropractic to network marketing, she entered the chiropractic college, and she gave me a call about a year later. She says, Doc, she says, can I share something with you? I said, sure. She says, I'm doing my postceptorship. That means that I'm done with my schooling, but I'm not licensed. So I have to go and work with a chiropractor. I said, yeah. She said, and this chiropractor only sees 40 patients a day. And I said, yeah. She said, you would see 40 patients an hour. I said, correct. She says, I thought everyone saw 40. I thought everyone saw 200 patients a day. I said, oh no. I said, Veronica, I said, her name was Veronica. I said, no, Veronica, what I did was very, very unique. I said, there's not many that do what I did. But here's what I took away. When you put someone in a certain environment and that's all they see and that's all they know and they're immersed in it, they begin to believe that that's normal. And that's what happens when people join our culture. They believe that it is normal to grow fast. It's normal to rank up fast. It's normal to talk to a lot of people. It's normal to have 2 to 3 one-on-ones a day. It's normal to have presentations every night. It's normal to have coming to Jesus every evening. They believe that's normal because that's all they see, right? So there's something very, very powerful to creating a culture, right? When you get enough people that believe what you believe and value what you value, the exchange is trust and cooperation, just like what you do every day. You have a huge tribe. I like that, the vibe and tribe. You have an enormous, my tribe is part of your tribe. You have this enormous tribe. And when you show up to that tribe, the energy elevates because your energy is high. The gratitude elevates because you're always in a state of gratitude. So there's a lot to be said with approaching network marketing with the idea of building a culture.
And it gets better than that because you touch people. Once you become that, your children become that. Your church becomes that. The football team becomes that. And you are completely surrounded by like-minded people, and they're changing you and you're changing them. Sunday, Adrian was at church, and he's a church kid, and they're all in there praying like crazy. And in the back of the church, there is a guy just crying like crazy. I mean, he's sobbing, and everybody's going, what's the disruption? And they go back and see this kid, and he's really on drugs and alcohol and just a mess. And Adrian grabs him and just takes him across the street to this place called Janie's Diner and says, what's going on? And the guy's talking about being in all this trouble and would God please help him? And Adrian goes, well, God can, Jesus can, but we have one small problem. You have to stop at this fat guardian angel called my dad. So I'm taking you over to his house. So he brought me over to my house, and I was just cussing myself to death because my wife's out of town and I have to water all the flowers. So I said, okay, I need you to go out there and concentrate a little bit on your existence. So go water those flowers out there. So I conned the kid into flower watering, but then I took him out to dinner, and I did what I'm good at, which was get him to go to AA and, away from all the bad stuff. And now he's got 3 days of sobriety. But we got to do what we're good at, is my point. And I'm not good at all the other stuff. I'm not a really good network marketer. I am a great tour guide, and I am a great talent scout. And I send people where I believe they want to go, and as fast as I can. And that's the magic of it. And that's what I see you do, right?
Well, Tom, I'm I'm learning more and more the difference between purpose and calling. And network marketing is your purpose, but helping the underdog is your calling.
I believe that.
And that's where your gifts shine the most. That's where you open your doors to strangers. You do things that most people would feel very uncomfortable about. For me, my calling is leadership. If you tell me that this program is 5 hours long, I'd get a cup of coffee. I'm like, okay, let's talk for 5 hours, because I love, because my life was changed by one man 30 years ago who spoke words to me that I had never heard before. He spoke a level of life and possibility. And the crazy thing about it, when I was 24 years old, when I met him, is that I believed everything he said, just like people believe you, Tom. And just like you could have probably saved that kid's life. You know, you could have said, and this is the cool thing about it, is that you'll never know. You know, you'll never know how many lives you have actually changed and how many lives you have saved. But being in your calling is so powerful. And yes,
So you've got 600,000 people in your organization, which is a number. But in your company, there's 3 million people. So that is a crazy number. And a couple of days ago, you're doing this big training and it was for everybody. I go, why in the world are you doing that? And I will be stuck in this statement forever, because you said, you know what? How can I not? I know I've got a gift. And I know this guy, Steve Wallach, has absolutely bent over backwards over 12 years or whatever you just said. I wasn't paying attention, to help me get to where I am. And I owe it to him to train everybody, not just the ones I'm making a buck on. And I'll never forget that, because I get a little bit twisted around the axle and stuff. And I just want to thank you for constantly teaching me to be more of a giver.
Yeah, you're a tremendous giver. But yes, you're absolutely right. You know, like you said, you know, network marketing is beautiful and there's a lot of amazing companies. But when you have an amazing company with a leader like Steve Wallach, with someone that, you know, when we first entered, it was purely with a shake of hands in this room in the corporate office called the Diamond Room. Back in the day, it doesn't exist anymore. And when you have someone like that what he says, he does, right? A man that functions with integrity, that leads with integrity, man, you can take it to the bank. All you got to do is you just got to fulfill your role. You got to go and work. You got to be that guy, because people like Steve Wallach, they're gonna do what they said they're gonna do. And here we are 14 years later. And I tell everyone this, you know, our company will be here another 14, 20, 30 years from now, because it is a legacy company, because it's led with legacy. So yes, you're absolutely correct.
So let's keep moving on. You are, you know, you spoke from the stage of GoPro, and Eric Worre was blown away. I'll never forget his face, because he didn't know what hit him. You just absolutely stole the show, because you're so well read and you're so completely monomaniacally focused on taking people through the process and not having them quit in between. And what happens to lots of us is we have a number in our head, if it's whatever amount of money it is. We hit that and we go on cruise control. Mm-hmm. What I've loved about you is no cruise control. Not only for you and your wife lead by such unbelievable example. And, you know, it's a lie of network marketing that has been perpetrated over the years. And the lie is probably do what you don't want to for a while, so you can do what you want to for the rest of your life. And most people take that like you work your ass off for a few months, and then for the rest of your life, you're on easy street. And you do that, your check's gone. You do that, somebody that's absolutely on fire is going to steal your leaders that you spent your whole life training, and you're going to be looking back going, what happened? And what I love about you is you've never let up on the gas pedal. Talk about that a little bit, because you make phenomenal money. But I'm telling you what, you're going to earn it every day for the rest of your life. And the minute you let up, somebody's chasing you down, right?
Yes, absolutely. You know, there's a quote that says, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I love rich a whole lot more. I'm not rich, but I've been poor before. I've been poor before. And I know that feeling of having that knot in your stomach, of wanting and not having. I know that feeling of fear because you don't know how safe the environment is in. I know that feeling of fear. You don't know if your dad's going to come home or your mom's going to come home or what's going to happen this weekend. And so what we have here, and my wife comes from a very, very, very humble upbringing also. So again, we live in the state of gratitude, right? That we're able to exercise our potential. And one thing that will affect, I'm speaking to what your question is, one thing that will affect your peak potential is the ability that I mean, what people do all the time is that they self-sabotage themselves, right? And one thing about sabotaging is you get a little arrogant or you get a little entitled. We get a little emotional. We get a little distracted. We get this fixed mindset, like we know everything. So you, Tom, have continuously spoken to me about being a lifelong student, regardless of how big we get, how much money we have, how many people we're leading, a lifelong student. Because the minute that we believe that we've attained it, that's the beginning to our demise. So Tom, I know that we have been blessed, and I know that the blessings continue, but there's so much more for us to do. I mean, I'm 56 years young, right? I think that's very young. You're 74 years young. We are very young men. We are young people that have a lot more people to impact. And I create my value by working on myself, right? Jim Rohn, I love what Jim Rohn said. He said, work on your work, you make a living, work on yourself, you manifest a fortune. So I work on myself every day. My wife works on herself every day, regardless of what our income is. Regardless, we're going to work on ourselves every single day to be the best version of ourselves. Because if we do that, we're going to bring more value to the marketplace, which will reciprocate back to us. Of course, building a larger business and making more money, but it's bringing value and working on ourselves forever.
I'm not one, that I'm working on a book right now, and one of the main things in the middle of that thing is upsells. I am not an upsell guy, and everybody wants me to do this upsell story, and I don't do it. I'm going to tell you one thing right now. This is not an upsell. This is, if you want to get coached by somebody I feel is among the very best, I want you to call Dr. Arriaza. Put his number up, please. I want you to email Dr. Arriaza. I want you to have this guy in your orbit, whether you hire him or not. He has made my life so much better. And we are at a time, I was just on that board of directors call for the ANMP. There's his number in the comments right there on the screen. Here's what I'm going to tell you. What came out of that big meeting was that network marketing is the same, but it's changing. And what got you where you are 5 years ago is not what's going to get you to where you need to go in 5 years. You've got to evolve with the time, with the technology, meeting the fundamentals, with high touch meeting high tech. And I am going to tell you, if there's anybody who is able to do that for you, it's Arriaza. He is the man. And if he doesn't understand it, because the guy can't figure anything out tech-wise, he's got his boys, and these kids are unbelievable. You go out to California, they will cook the best dinner you ever had in your life, and you're going to see this business live and in person at a level you've never seen it before. I love you, Dr. Arriaza. And is that about true? I mean, you'll talk to anybody. You'll answer questions. You're not going to charge them in advance. Nothing. You're just going to be that guy, right?
Tom, again, I go back to, God has been good. God has been really, really good. And just like someone saw something in me that I didn't see myself 32 years ago, just like you, I'll never ever forget. It was in Orlando, Florida. It was 14 years ago. It was the first big event that I had ever been to. And the only person I knew there was Dr. Corey Gold. And Dr. Corey Gold brings me around this corner, and in there it's you, it's our previous president, it's Steve Wallach and another gentleman. And you're a tall guy, but you looked like you were like 12 feet tall at the time.
I look like Hagrid in Harry Potter.
I got there with borrowed credit cards. We had nothing. We were going through our worst financial time of my entire life. And I remember you just looked like this man that just had everything put together, and people coming up and taking pictures, and you're signing autographs and kissing the babies. And I'm just standing there. And remember, you put your hands on my shoulder like a dad would put it on a kid and said, "Hey, everything's going to be all right." And I remember that. And it's very, very impactful. And sometimes people just need that. People just need someone to believe in themselves and to believe in them. There's this professor at Stanford. His name's Arthur Brooks. And every year he does a semester on happiness. And he says that there's 4 things that will produce happiness in your life. 1 is having a deep-rooted faith. 2 is doing something with purpose. 3 is being connected to your family. And he said 4th is filling your life with friends who believe in you and empower you. And that's what you've been to me.
The feeling is completely mutual. And what I've loved about you is, I have a tendency to rest on my laurels a little more than I probably should. And what I love about you is you've always got me in this competitive course correct mode that is, every Wednesday night, you guys, he's such an ass kisser. He sends this picture out to all these people to show how hard he's working. So I have to go make, I got to start photoshopping like crazy to try to get myself, to make it look like I work as hard as him. But I'll tell you what, there's just nobody better. One of the best guys on the planet. And I want you to call him, put that phone number back up. I want you to go to his website, take a look at what he does. There is absolutely nothing but good about him and the way, and I love another thing that is unbelievable. So he's married to Avelia, been married to her forever. They got this house that is unbelievable out in Laverne, California, like Laverne and Shirley, California. I never even heard of the place. We go all the way up to the top of this mountain, and here's this house that is so cool. And we walk in, and here's a room for his mother. Here's a room for his mother-in-law, and then the boys, and they just live their life like Clan of the Cave Bears. Everybody, nobody's going to nursing homes. Nobody's getting off to anybody. It's the most beautiful, most inspiring thing. I lived to go out there and see the mothers who have since passed, but they did their job. But I want you to know, I know you did your job too. And I love you for that, man. And I wish I was your dad.
Well, and that is more for my wife, because my wife, she took care of her father ever since she was 13 years old. My father-in-law had 4 strokes, 42 years ago, and she took care of him. And then she took care of my mother for 15 years. And the last 3-4 years, my mother was bedridden. And she took care of my mother-in-law ever since she was 19 years old. And that's my wife. And yes, I had a poster in one of my offices 30 years ago, and it says, the number 1 decision, second to God, he says, the best decision you can make in your life is marrying the right person. And I have definitely married the right person.
You truly did. Denise and I got in that terrible car wreck.
Yes.
You sent flowers. You sent care packages.
Yes.
You volunteered to come out and take care of us in Colorado. There is nothing, and people do not know this, but when I was in the ambulance, for some reason, I was compelled to make a video. I'm riding in the ambulance, and not very many people have ever seen that video. You probably still don't have it, but I sent it to you because you're that kind of friend to me. And I sent it to one other individual, that kind of friend to me. And I'll tell you what, to have friends like that for all of you is something that you have to value and cherish the rest of your life. And
Amen.
I love you, and we thank you for coming on. You're welcome back anytime. All of you need to go to ANMP2025.com in order to go see Dr. Arriaza and 85 other unbelievable speakers. Here is the sponsor of the show, Contact Mapping and Now.Site. And there's the sweatshirt that you get. So you go to swag.contactmapping.com. And normally we give you a choice of what sweatshirt you get, but you're such a complete poser. I am insisting that Michelle sends you a beautiful Love Like Crazy, Then Love More hoodie in pink. So you will be
My favorite colors.
You'll be the cock of the walk. I promise you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you for coming on.
You're the best. Love you, Tommy.
Thanks a million.